Welcome back. This will be the last chunk of video devoted to setup on this particular game. So, as has been the case lately, we're looking at Armored Knights Case Blue, Don Bend, and we're looking at the tank cemetery scenario. So, Mr. Prosat, if I got the name right, shout out to him, one of the viewers. He noticed that we've got a couple of hedgehogs here that are going against the hedgehog density rules. So the rule is that any hedgehog, or fortified hedgehog for that matter, can only be adjacent to two others. So these are adjacent, these force, because these are here, this one is adjacent to 3, this is adjacent to 3, this is adjacent to 3, and so on. So these two hedgehogs, we will have to relocate them. And that would make 3, so that's no good. That would make 3. This one is actually acceptable, so I will probably do that. And it's on the eastern side, which is a little bit more open terrain anyway. This would be illegal. This would be illegal as well. So it seems I have an extra here, so perhaps that location? It's legal, but do I want it, is the big question. So anything back here in this hex row is generally legal. You know, I think I would rather like to have one hereabouts. So this has a stream in Balka, so that already has favorable terrain, and that would make a strong position. This does not, and so could use a bit of strengthening, perhaps. But if I shade over here a bit more to the east, I think that that's desirable. I mean, there's something to be said for having this, and any retreating units should occupy this line, and thereby hopefully forcing the Soviets to come around. But we don't have sticky Zocs, so they could come right around here and rampage through the rear areas, so not a desirable thing either. They could rampage through here. Hard to say, you know, but I think maybe a fallback area here. I'm not going to agonize over the decision. The consequences are fairly clear. 2 hexes back. 2 hexes is a fairly typical retreat pattern in this game, so I'm just going to go with this. I'll go with that. Now, my artillery here does not need to be this far forward. The only reason I had him there was in order to occupy the hedgehog. In fact, I am going to have units occupying where those hedgehogs are. So that's rather problematic. And I need this fella right here, 60th motorized. He needs to remain within 3 hexes, this area roughly, so that he can exert what little supply there is, and also what little control there is, I think. I'm not all that clear on how command or in-command traces are going to work with the KG unit and with the divisional unit under Kampfverband Schlommer. I don't think that's well defined, so we'll work on that. I'll ask Chris and Robert and see what they can come up with, or clarify my position, and maybe, just maybe, I didn't read the scenario card well enough, but we'll see. Okay, where's this guy going to be? Well, here's perfectly fine, and it's defensible. Yep. There is something to be said, though, for maybe putting him 1 back to give these guys a place to retreat to if they get kicked out of their hedgehogs. So let's do that. Artillery can come on back, so he's got a range of 5. I need to be able to range to this area, so 5 hexes. We've got the set for 5 right here. He could go back as far as this and range 5 hexes out. So why not do that? Now, that said, coming over in this direction, I think he needs to be 1 more forward. And there's a road there. So that seems reasonable. Now, what have we here? We have General Schlommer himself, we have the Divisional HQ and the Supply Battalion, and they care about 8 hexes right here of range, so they are comfortably in position there. So I think I will go with that. All right. I think that's going to be about it. Now, I thought I had another artillery unit. Yes, I do. And he's there. I'm not real wild about him being there. Not one little bit. So, if I recall from the previous video, I had indicated that I'm making the interpretation that because of the KV Schlommer rules that the artillery will be usable by any of the units. There is a possibility that I'm over-interpreting or over-generalizing the KV Schlommer rule. It does say that you can defend with multiple units, with units from multiple formations. That's the 60th motorized, 3rd motorized. You can have a mix of units in the hex and not have a negative die roll modifier due to that. They do not say anything about artillery, but I'm going to treat this as if it was the case. And if I'm wrong, I'll feel, well, a little bad, and I'll just have to play it over again, won't I? So, I have these 3 hedgehogs. They need to be in occupied hexes, otherwise they go away. So, I have plenty of units here. So, I'll put the hedgehogs up on my artillery. Yeah, I could do that. Now, the interesting thing is, if I wanted to go 8, here's 8 from this village of Kamensky, and according to this, I should be able to range on anything that I'm likely to care about. So, you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit differently. I'm going to put my heavy artillery over here in Kamensky and put a hedgehog on them. I like that hedgehog placement better than sticking it back here. So we've got our 105s here, our 155, I think, German, here. And they are bearing on the entire defensive line, and we will go with that. Now, the one thing that I'm not doing here, you'll notice they're not stacked up, right? So to do a heavy barrage, I would need to, if I recall correctly, I need to have all of the artillery units in the heavy barrage stacked up. However, no heavy barrages are permitted in this scenario. As they say in the scenario notes, the the Germans are light on ammo and the Soviets are light on tubes. Yeah, the Soviets lack the tubes and the Germans lack the ammunition. So not a consideration here, so I can spread them out just fine. And again, this is a road hex, and he can, well, run away very, very slowly. This is I'm thinking that this is a motorized unit, so he's only going to get a move of 3. He's only going to get a move of 3. Now I should be able to use strategic movement and go grand total of 6 hexes on road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to circle back around towards the center of things and get the heck out of Dodge. These units are also the same movement potential. All right. So, in fact, I think everyone and their cousin here. Okay, the tanks are slower. Fully tracked vehicles are slower. So half track is 8 movement points, and we'll get 2 due to the supply rules being out of supply, and as will the armored units. So let's just pray that we can hold on. Okay, that concludes my my setup, my turn 0, as it were. And so we're going to grab something to drink here, and we're going to segue right away into turn 1. Back in a bit.